right, everybody, we are going to talk about fractions. Specifically, we're going to talk about many names for fractions. So this is going to be kind of like our introduction to what we're going to get to, which is equivalent fractions. So there are lots of different ways and different shapes that you can use to help you with fractions. So we're going to talk about a couple of different shapes today. We're going to have our circle as our whole. We're going to have a hexagon as our whole. And we're also going to have rectangles as our whole. So that's kind of where we're going with this, just so you know. And sometimes fractions, as you've seen, can look different, but can actually mean the same thing. So if we have, for instance, 1/2 and 2/4, those two numbers look really different. They have different numbers in them, but we're going to prove that today, we're going to prove that because we can use our manipulatives, and then tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about the math of it and how to compute this without manipulatives. But we're going to prove that these two are actually equal. So if I have my pink half, so this is going to be equal to 1/2. And if I take these pieces, which are fourths, because if I were to build a whole, remember my whole is this circle. So if I were going to build my whole out of these, it would take 4 of them. So anytime you have a fraction, you have part over whole. Okay? Just like we talked about when we did NFL fractions. So our part in this case is how many pieces we're talking about, and our whole would be how many of those pieces it would take to make our whole. Okay? So our whole, remember, is this circle. So this fraction would be equal to 2/4. So 2/4 for this one. So if we look at this, if I were to take this pink piece and lay it over my fourths, you can see that they're equal. So that's going to prove with our manipulatives that these are equal sizes. So 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Now, if I take another size piece, now remember my whole is still the red. So these are going to be 1/6. So it would take 3 of these to equal the same. So 3/6 is also going to be equal to 1/2. So we can add this down here to our list. So 3/6 is also going to be equal to 1/2 because of how we've proved it here with our manipulatives. Then if I take this size piece, so we have, I can get them all together. I've got, these are eighths. It's kind of hard to see on here, but see how there's 4 of them. So these are eighths. So there are 4 as our part, and our whole, if I were to make the whole out of these, it would take 8. So 4/8 is also going to be equal to our 1/2. And our last size piece with these little pizza kind of pieces are going to be tenths. So I'm going to put these guys together. How many tenths do you think it's going to take to make an equivalent to a half? So half of 10 is going to be 5. So we need 5 tenths to make our 1/2. So we can add 5 tenths down here to our equivalents. Okay, so that is going to be when we're using these pie pieces. Now, I will tell you that when you're drawing fractions, pie pieces are a little tricky because it's hard to separate them evenly. So they're a little bit trickier. We're going to show you rectangles here in just a second, and that's my favorite way to show fractions just because it's a little easier to draw them out. So let me erase my stuff. Let's talk about hexagons. So this is going to be our whole this time. And remember, we're still going to have part over whole. So if I have my whole as a hexagon, and then let's talk about our other size pieces. We're actually not going to use our halves this time. We're going to use our rhombuses, and we're going to use our triangles with this. Because now, instead of doing halves, we're actually going to do thirds. So to make our whole here, we have these rhombuses, and it's going to take 3 of them to make a whole. So we're going to talk about 2 of them. So this is going to equal 2 thirds because there are 2 of the 3 that we're representing here. And then to make the same size fraction out of an equivalent fraction out of our triangles here, we would need 2, 3, 4 of them. So 4, and it would take 6 altogether. So with proving with this, we can say that 2/3 is equal to 4/6. Okay, so that is hexagons. Let's talk about some rectangles. So if this is 1/2, and then if I can make another equivalent here, same thing. Now, if you were drawing the rectangles, it would be a whole lot easier than drawing those circles. So that's why I'm showing you this. So 2/4. These are going to be the same type of things we just did with the circles. So now we have 3/6. And then we're going to have 4/8. And then we've got tenths again. So these are 5/10. And then our last one that we didn't do before are 12ths. They're itty bitty. Teeny tiny little guys. So these are 12ths. So 6/12. Okay, so that is our bars. Now you're probably saying, I don't have all these manipulatives at home. I know. It's really hard to have all the things that I have here at your house. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this in a way that you can draw using rectangles. So we're going to have one rectangle and another rectangle. And these will help you prove that these are equal. So let's say I had 2/3, and I was trying to prove that 4/6 was equivalent. Uh-oh, my low battery went on. Sorry. So I have 2/3, and there we go, my light's shining right on my 2. So 2/3 is equal to 4/6. So here's how we're going to prove it. So and I love to color code. Let's color these with, let's go red. So 2/3. So 2 of the 3 are shaded. And then over here with 4/6, we're going to actually mirror this. We're going to make sure this looks the same. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3 pieces, just like over here, and we're going to shade 2 of them. So 1, 2. Now this is what you're going to be doing for part of your worksheet. So just take note of what we're doing here, because you're going to be applying this in just a minute. So if we have only 2/3 here, so what we want to do is cut this into 6 pieces. So taking our original model here, we're going to cut this into 6 pieces. So if I have 1, 2, 3, that means I'm going to need to take each one of those and cut them right in half. So now by doing that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are shaded. So by doing this, we can show that this fraction, 2/3, is equal to this fraction, which is 4/6. So let's try another one. Here's my first bar. Here's my second bar. So let's do, wow, they're not very even, are they? Sorry. Kind of even. Okay, so let's do 5/6, and let's make it equal to 15/18. So my trick on splitting things into 6 is to first split it in half, and then each half has to go into thirds. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And we'll do the same thing over here. Okay, so when we're shading these, we're going to have 5 of the 6 shaded. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shaded. So 5, 6. Now over here, we're going to have the same, mirror it, make it the same as the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now to split this up, we are going to have to split it not just in half, because if I doubled the number here, I would have 10 shaded and 12 altogether. But 6 times what would be 18? 6 times 3. So what we're going to do is we are going to split this into thirds. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 pieces all together, and 15 of them are shaded. All right, let's try one more. Let's do, and feel free to pause this and try it yourself. That's always a good way to do it too. So, it looks like I'm running out of room down at the bottom. There we go. Okay, let's take, let's do 2/5, and let's make it equal to 4/10. Okay, so I'm going to cut this into fifths. These are going to be a little trickier to cut into. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're going to shade 2/5. 1, 2. And that's 2/5. So over here on the other one, we're going to do the same thing, shade it the same way. So that's 2/5 that are shaded. Now to make this 4/10, so right now I have 5 pieces. To make 10 pieces, I'm going to have to double it. So I'm going to have to chop everything in half. And that is going to be 4/10. So this is the second page of your worksheet. And there's just a couple of them, but make sure that you are drawing them this way so that it proves that the first fraction is equal to the second fraction. Okay? All right, guys, thanks for listening. What you're going to do now is you are going to go to Google Classroom. There are going to be some notes there that you're welcome to take a look at. They're going to be similar to what I have here, but they'll be on a board from last year when I did this. And then the other thing you're going to do is go to Google Classroom and work on your worksheet for the day, and then finish your fast check and submit it. If you have any questions, I will be on for office hours, and check it out then. If you have any questions, you feel free to meet up there. If not, you can just submit your work, and I'll see you again tomorrow. All right, guys. Thanks.